Hey everyone, this is Tom from VermiBag. This is the third week that I'm doing a video on the feeding of this VermiBag Mammoth. Last week we put about 4.5 pounds of scraps on this side and just a little bit less on the other side, plus about 12 pounds of bedding. So it was right around 20 pounds of material that we put in the bag last week, and then we'd done the same thing the previous week. So I'm going to open this up and see what it looks like right now. Now, for any of you that haven't watched the series on making the VermiBag Mammoths also, this is one of actually the first prototype VermiBag Mammoth, so it's actually quite a bit different. I mean, the ones that are for sale now are definitely more refined. You can see I still have the ventilation lid stapled on this one because in order to sew these on properly, I have to completely remove this lid. Since it's my own bag, I don't mind right now. This bag is also quite a bit deeper than the final version of the VermiBag Mammoth, probably by about 4 or 5 inches, which is a lot of material. So this bag is a lot heavier than the new ones will be. Let's open this up and take a look at this side and see what it looks like. Okay, so this is the left-hand side. This is what it looks like now after a week. This is what it looked like last week when I put in the feeding. So you can tell there's a big difference right now. Let's dig down inside and see if there's any food scraps left underneath and see how much food we need to feed them. Okay, so for this left side, let's dig in there and see what kind of worm density we have and see how many scraps we have left. You can see as far as worm density, it looks pretty good there. I mean, the worms are everywhere on this material, and they're definitely working it over pretty good. It's well on its way to being composted. I don't see hardly any food scraps, a couple little skins, a few things. That's about it. Worms look really good. And again, the compost looks really good. You can see, pieces of paper here and there. Occasional tiny little piece of skin or something from a pepper or something. The skin is always the last thing that they eat. Dig here right in the center. So, yeah, it looks good. Definitely needs food. There's tiny little things, grapevines. Those take forever to, I mean, they'll make it all the way to the bottom sometimes. It has to go through a second time. It looks really good. Again, the density of the worms, you can tell, is pretty much uniform all the way through it. Big clumps of paper that I have in here almost always. Anytime I'm agitating my bin and I see a big clump of paper or cardboard or something, I go ahead and break it up just a little bit. If you don't, when you do your harvest at some point, you're going to find chunks of paper, big chunks that never really decomposed because you didn't break them up. They were just wadded together, so it takes a long time. So I'm continuously looking for chunks. I mean, this pit from a apricot or whatever won't go away, but I'll leave it in here. I'll pull it out when I do my castings. Every once in a while, those things will start to break down for some reason, and they're actually able to eat them. But more often than not, they'll be there when you do the castings. So let's prepare this. I think I'm going to go ahead and put in about 8 pounds of material on this side this time. Big feeding. So I'm going to get the material here and get it set up and get them fed. Okay, so we're going to get a little bit more aggressive on this thing now. This is right at 15 pounds of food scraps. This is stuff that just came out of our compost bucket upstairs. We throw scraps away and stuff I cut up, and then I have 2 packages and about 8 pounds total out of the freezer from the stuff that I fixed up about a week ago. And so 15 pounds of scraps. And I also have almost a 5-gallon bucket full of bedding that I'm going to add in there, and that's right at about 15 pounds as well. So a total of about 30 pounds of material Plus I'm going to add at least 3 of these, at least a pound of dry bedding, shredded cardboard and shredded newspaper. So over 30 pounds I'm going to put in this system today. So we'll see what it looks like next week. Okay, so as usual, first I'm going to lay down a thin layer of dry bedding material. This time it's mainly shredded cardboard and a little bit of shredded newspaper in it. If I can do the cardboard, I prefer it, but I end up with a lot of white paper too, so I hate to waste it. So I try and kind of force the white paper upon the worms. So go ahead. I'm going to start laying in this material. Again, I'm going to try and spread it out over the full surface area because, again, I don't want it to hot compost. So, and I may stick a couple frozen water bottles over each side just in case it does start to compost a little bit. That'll keep it cooled down. I'm going to use a lot of it. That's the nice thing about the Mammoth is it has so much surface area that I'm trying to spread this out over the surface area as best I can. I'm still going to leave a space in the center that really has no food at all to give the worms an escape, just in case this does start to overheat. So there's, I'll go ahead and put bedding on top of that. Again, the bedding I try and mix in a little bit with it. Try and separate those particles so they don't hot compost as much. Those paper towels I'll lay out flat on the top. Again, they'll decompose a lot better if they're laying out flat. If we work that bedding in real good, separates everything. Okay, about it. So I've used most of that bedding all right. I might have to actually add more bedding on the other side. If you aren't recycling your paper towels, you should. I mean, the worms really like it. This stuff breaks down really fast. But again, the secret to making this stuff break down fast is just laying it out in little sheets. But I think all of us go through a lot of this material and we end up throwing it in the garbage. So why not feed it to your worms and get something positive out of it. So that's this side. Now I'm going to open up the other side and do the same thing over there and put the rest of the material over there. Right side of the VermiBag Mammoth. Let's take a look at worm density and see how they did on the food last week. Ton right there. I don't see any food. Are there? Again, the worms are pretty well distributed here. They definitely work through all the food really well. I don't see anything at all as far as food scraps. Material's really nice. The moisture content's really good. I love these shells. They hang out in these shells, even though there's hard, it doesn't seem like there's any food left in them, but anytime you find the remnants of one of these, you'll find a ton of worms sitting inside of it. So, yeah. Okay. Avocado pit. I doubt if they're going to be able to eat that, but we'll leave it in here anyway. Okay, let's get some bedding in this and I'll throw the food in. Okay, same as the other side, I'm going to go ahead and put in a thin layer of dry bedding just to absorb a little bit of that moisture that's coming out of all that food. Okay. I'll open up our bag. And again, break things up. Don't let them be, you don't want big clumps anywhere. Okay, let's fill some bedding on top. I'm out of my pre-made bedding, so I'm just going to add a little bit more dry bedding on the top of this. I may come back in a little bit, and I have some outside, and add just another pound or two of the pre-mixed bedding that I make. So there you have it. A little over 30 pounds of food scraps and bedding in the Mammoth. So you could say a mammoth feeding for a mammoth. So that is a large feeding. I'm pretty confident by next week it'll be pretty much all gone. So again, I'm just going to continue to push this system and just see how much it can actually handle and see what kind of worm population I can actually get into it. The worm population is definitely doing well, but I think the more food I give it, the more it's going to explode. So this is Tom from VermiBag. Till next time, ciao.